We'll use the ultrasonic battery.
Okay, guilty as charged. I know my airbrush can look pretty filthy on the camera at times, but it's what is on the inside that counts, and I think I get an okay job with my airbrush. But from time to time, if I get inconsistent airflow or inconsistent paint flow or just inconsistent results in general, I know it's time to give my airbrush a deep clean, and I wanted to take you guys through that process today. I only deep clean my airbrush maybe once a year, which I think is pretty good given the amount of painting I actually do with it. And if you stick around till the end, I will give you a tip that will help increase the time between cleans that's required for your own airbrush. So make sure you hang around for that one. But let's get a start.
Around 10 years ago, I invested in this ultrasonic cleaner. It's designed to clean your jewelry, and you can pick one up for as low as $25. I've left a link down below, but if you look on eBay, they aren't too hard to find. The ultrasonic cleaner is a great way to clean your airbrush and is well worth that small investment. I've half melted mine when I first had it. Trying to use acetone as a cleaning agent, that was a real bad idea. I now use IPA because it will break down most paints, but it is relatively kind on any plastics and seals that might come in some of these different airbrushes. The other benefit of IPA, or isopropyl alcohol if you like, is it dries quickly and it will leave no residue like methylated spirits can. Of course you can use other cleaning agents, I just find IPA works best for me. I start by breaking the airbrush down as much as I can. The more I can remove, the better access I will have to the tool, and obviously the better I'll be able to clean it. Most airbrushes are made up of the same essential components with only a few differences from tool to tool. This is my go-to airbrush, and it's the Ammo 0.3mm Air Cobra. I like the way it feels and the way the cup is configured, and I'm never too precious with this airbrush, so that is why I keep finding my way back to it. I place all of the pieces in the basket and immerse it in that IPA, and then start the cleaner. The cycle runs for around 2.5 minutes, although that may vary depend on the unit you buy. With that cycle complete, I lay the elements on some paper towel and I start working my way around those elements, cleaning off any paint or grime. An Airbrush Cleaning Kit is a cheap and very handy tool for this process, and I recommend it highly. Again, I've put a link down below for you, but you can get these things at most hobby shops. Using the appropriately sized brush, I can move it through the various cavities over the parts. The isopropyl alcohol and the ultrasonic cleaner have loosened and softened the paint, and the brushes will help move and break it up. Most cleaning kits come with a nozzle cleaning tool as well, and that's pretty much just a tapered spike that is used to access the smaller areas like the hole in the nozzle, as well as any other cavities that the brush can't reach. Once I've tended to all of those pieces, they are placed back in the basket, and I run that ultrasonic cycle once more. Once complete, the parts are dried and inspected, and then the airbrush can be reassembled. It's always a good idea to test spray a thinner through the airbrush once you've finished, just to make sure that flow is predictable and smooth. When I clean one airbrush, I try to make a habit of cleaning all of my others at the same time. Here I'm breaking down my Iwata HPB and getting it ready for its clean. You may notice some of the subtle differences in that hardware. Probably the most noticeable is the way that trigger and pin are configured. If this is your first time breaking your airbrush down, I recommend you film yourself doing it, just so you have some reference if something confuses you when you're trying to reassemble it. It's second nature to me, but it can be intimidating if you haven't done it before. And definitely some tools are far trickier to reassemble than others, but it's usually just a matter of a little patience and you'll be back spraying in no time. you'll be surprised how much dirt and grime come out of an airbrush that you actually thought was clean.
So there you have it. That's how I deep clean my airbrush. You don't need the ultrasonic cleaner. You could bathe those parts in a tub of IPA. The ultrasonic cleaner just softens the paint up and loosens the paint up a little better and more efficiently, but there's nothing stopping you doing that on your own, just in a tub. You might just have to scrub a little bit harder and leave it a little bit longer, but it will definitely work. So what's that tip, I hear you ask, about extending the time required between cleans? Well, I've found that if you just use that one same paint type through the airbrush, you will extend the time required between cleans. And what I mean by that is if you're spraying lacquer paints through the airbrush, don't then give it a flush out and then start spraying acrylics through it and then go back and chop and change. And the same goes with enamels, lacquers, acrylics. The more often you do that and introduce different paint types into the airbrush, the quicker that contamination will build up and the more regularly you're going to have to clean your airbrush. If you have the luxury of having multiple airbrushes, then try and have one dedicated to lacquers and maybe one dedicated to acrylics. It's not impossible to use the one for all the paints. You're just going to have to be far more thorough and far more regular with your cleans if you want to do that. But if you can stick to that one paint type, you will save yourself a lot of headaches. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any content as it comes out. And if you want to join in with us in a greater way, come over to the Patreon page where you'll get bench updates, additional content, ad-free videos, and just help us build that community over there. It's free to join, and once you're there, you can select the tier that suits you best. And remember guys, this is the greatest hobby in the world. Share it with your family and share it with your friends, and let's be proud of what we do. Until next time, I'll see you soon.
I mean, everyone needs cleaning products.